Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 484 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Malda, and I am joined today by two of the finest geeks you're ever going to meet who are willing to pretend that they are in low Earth orbit for a half hour. We got Rob Roseboom.
I'm one of the finest geeks.
And Chris DeBona.
I'm one of the geekiest finds.
Whoa.
I see what you did there.
I'm trying to twist things up.
Oh, yeah, you word played.
Yeah.
The old switcheroo.
Trying to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Like any relationship, after 484 episodes, you got to mix it up a little.
Sure.
Right? Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So Amazon is going to be developing a Fallout TV show.
Right.
With the Westworld team, although it's a little cagey on who of the Westworld team is there.
Well, they said that acclaimed producers Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy attached to produce the project.
Right.
Currently in development with a series commitment, which means they have a writing room, basically.
Right.
And they're probably bringing the writers on and they're telling them a direction. That's my guess.
Indeed.
Because they still have another season or two of Westworld that they're going to poop
They
out,
confirmed in the article that season 4 of Westworld is underway.
Season 3 was not good.
The first 3 episodes were really fun.
Yeah.
And then episode 7?
Yeah, it's sort of just like, well, what are y'all doing?
Yep. They're trying real hard.
This may be my favorite video game franchise, right? I love Fallout.
Yeah.
I love the style of it. I love everything about it almost.
Yeah.
So hopefully they will do it a little bit of justice and it won't suck. But
they will do to your favorite franchise what they did to my favorite franchise, and you will get episode 9.
Which franchise? Yeah. Unpack that for
Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know. I mean, so the question is, are we talking New Vegas Fallout? Are we talking Fallout 3? Are we talking Fallout 2? I mean, that was actually
it's actually weird because we're actually talking Fallout Shelter. And it's just like the whole movie is just going to be like, making your little guys go up and down inside of that grid.
Fallout as a reality show.
Right.
I'm not here to make any friends.
So I have a confession to make in the Fallout Shelter thing. My That's Fallout Shelter. So I have 200 dwellers, which is the maximum. Every dweller has 10 of every stat. Every dweller is wearing the +7 outfit that is corresponding to the room that they are working in. And I have a robot on every floor. Every dweller has a pet and the best gun that can be crafted in the game. And I have so many people that they can't, they go on their little away adventures. They just stand lined up because I can't really let them all back into my vault. There's literally, and I have 1 million caps. The game caps you out at 1 million caps. There's literally nothing I can do.
You found the cap?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
When it came out, I just destroyed it years ago.
It's a super fun game, honestly. I could, I mean, I don't know. It's like a Fallout TV show only in a vault, like a single vault would be it could be kind of great,
like a bottle show.
They're going to save that for like Wool or something,
I mean, they definitely, the story lends itself so well to so many interesting ideas. You've got vault rivalries, you've got people stuck in vaults, you've got just the notion of the single vault dweller leaving and trying to be heroic. Like there's so many, I mean the game's proved that there's so many fun ways that you can take the story, and you've got the advantage of that 50s 60s era style.
Yeah, exactly, that they put their flag into a long time ago. So
I'm all in.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting because John Nolan, obviously, everything that he seems to touch has to have like a time warping component. And I don't know that Westworld needs that. Or I'm sorry, Westworld. That Fallout would need that because it's already got the "we're in the future" thing.
Well, they could do that whole like, here's the future time and here's the pre-vault time, so you're tracking like a person's childhood before the vault. I don't know.
For me,
There's a
the
lot
thing
of
I really
ways.
liked was just like waking up blind out of the vault and having very little data to go on.
Yeah, just Liam Neeson's voice beckoning you. Ron Perlman lecturing you on the nature of war.
Also shooting cool 50s style robots and making them go boom.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
I'm a fan of all of these things.
Sure.
What else? What else do we got on the list? I gotta get up my copy of the Taco Zone.
We're at a pretty low ebb this morning. We're pretty mellow.
It's an hour early.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I've got
whatever.
Like a packed schedule today.
Oh, did you see Baba Is Yall? Have you played Baba Is You?
Oh, I've played Baba Is You. It's wonderful. I have not seen Baba Is Yall. So it's like community levels or something.
But also, it looks like they've got an AI generating levels.
Really? There you go. Okay.
No, maybe not. Mixed Initiative PCG. I don't know what Mixed Initiative PCG is. But I tried to play a couple of the games and I can't do it.
This is pretty easy.
Well, I didn't have a keyboard. I was trying to do it on a tablet. But
there we go. Finally.
There you go. I think Baba Is You is just one of the most clever games ever made. I adore it.
Clever. Baba Is Rock. Let's go with Baba Is Rock as our change. Oops. Nope. I forgot that part.
You fail.
Bonus kill. Baba is. I don't remember how to do this. You is rock is you. There you go.
You did it. Oh yeah! Congratulations.
All right, we can just sit here and watch me play random levels all day.
Although the samples you played are pretty easy.
Yeah, so far they're pretty simple.
I mean, in the actual game, I got like 20 or 30 levels in, and those things get hard.
Yeah, they do.
There's a cool story that I actually really liked. Robin Williams and Acid Trip, Moral Panic, Blame Canada at the Oscars. And it's actually mostly just a South Park summary. And they talk a lot about how, sort of they famously were nominated for Best Song for Blame Canada when Bigger, Longer, and Uncut came out. And so they wore dresses and took acid before they went to the Oscars, which strikes me as insane on a great many levels. But the art
and very on brand for them,
for sure, especially in 1999. But I really liked it because the article does a really good job of talking about how the irony of the controversy surrounding Blame Canada, which is literally a song about pointing the finger at somebody else and not taking responsibility, and also about censorship, and how the actual story, the reality of it, got even weirder.
Yeah, I mean, so what was Robin Williams' role? Did he sing the song?
He sang the song.
He sang, right, yeah.
Oh, because the story's crazy. The woman who voiced like all of the female characters in season 1, she died. She committed suicide 4 months before this performance. And otherwise she would have probably, been able to sing the song on the Oscar stage. And they were obviously none too thrilled about that situation, because she was apparently like one of their friends, like a close friend, and that would super suck. I have a couple of weird fondnesses. One note is that I saw the Bigger, Longer, Uncut movie in the worst movie theater I have ever seen a movie in. Really? I saw it with Mr. Jeff Bates in Boston. And it was like some horrible theater that was like some mall, had like
Oh,
some
in Copley
side street
Square.
mall. Yeah. So
I know exactly where you were. You were at Kendall Square, the Kendall
I
Square
don't know.
theaters.
Didn't even have seats, just broom handles you had to sit on.
Almost. But we went across the street, and because we got there early, and then each drank like a pitcher of Bud Light or some horrible light beer because it's what the bar had. And then we watched that movie, and the chairs were like not really bolted down, and everything was sticky and gross, and the theater only sat like 15 people. It was kind of horrible. But I have a weird fondness to South Park for a number of reasons. The Spirit of Christmas video, that was kind of their breakthrough thing, was like something that was shuttling around. Like it was just sort of making the rounds on the internet as I was coding in 1997 and working at the Image Group and like actually developing Slashdot. So, and that show, all the episodes that we downloaded on Real Media and watched in Geek House 1 and even shittier than that theater, Chris.
Well, this is the nicest theater at Kendall Square.
It wasn't even like at a Kendall Square. It was like we have a extra store in this strip mall that somehow we turned into a movie theater. Like it didn't even look like a movie theater. But anyway, I've always felt a really warm fondness towards South Park because they care so much about it and they work really hard at it. And generally speaking, I feel like their stance on political issues is pretty much spot on. Don't.
It's cynical and apathetic, It's sort of their brand,
but accurate.
Sometimes, many times. I'm
not sure that I've disagreed with that, with whatever I think they're trying to say, more than a couple of times. I mean, they've done more to stand up for China than anything else in pop culture, really.
Yeah, there's the truth there,
for sure.
Okay. There's a really cool story on the Millennium Falcon. It's an older story, but I hadn't actually read it. I'd never seen it before, and there were like 2 or 3 photos in there that I had never seen before.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
So,
super good article. I mean, yeah. And as a kid, there was no cooler spaceship.
Yeah. No, like the origins of the TIE fighters. Just this thing's incredible.
I actually went down a bit of a rabbit hole this weekend and read most of the articles on this website. Some of them I had seen before, but like I've read a lot of the books that he cites. I've read like The Secret History of Star Wars and like all the Rinsler books that he cites. But he's got a couple of images in there that and a couple of factoids that I hadn't heard before. And I got to tell you, man, if you tell me something about 1977 Star Wars that I haven't heard before, you deserve a gold star.
Yeah. I mean, and this article is full of stuff like that. It's just incredible. Like the evolution of the Discovery to Tantive 4. It's like, yeah, anyway.
Well, the one that kind of freaked me out a little bit was the fact that I knew they had to redesign the ship in order to make it not look like Space 1999, but it never crossed my mind that the ship in Space 1999 was the Eagle. So they literally added one to make it the Millennium and then changed the bird to the Falcon. Yep. Like, that's awesome. Like, I never knew that.
I just love every photo in this article,
If you're looking for this sort of thing, I think you can even get it on like your ebook reader. But the Macquarie art book is really cool. And there's just a really cool photo book that Rinsler wrote for each of the original trilogy. And they're just, 1,000 pages of this. And I love it. I love it so. And it ain't no episode 9.
It ain't no episode 9. Which you loved. Is that what you're saying? That
yeah.
Really spoke to you?
No, I describe episode 9 as good enough.
Yeah, it was the Control Z for episode 8. It was, yeah.
Which bums me out because I think episode 8 was maybe the 3rd best.
I don't know, man. That's really pushing it.
Yeah, but you gotta knock Jedi off the pedestal, and let's be realistic about Jedi.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Jedi, but yeah. All right.
So there's a cool article, the Mercury to Artemis, the evolution of spacesuits. I was thinking we can talk about fashion.
Yes, because we know a lot about fashion.
Yeah. We've all seen The Fifth Element.
Yeah, right? Mercury. Basically wrap them in tinfoil.
I read somewhere, and I should see if I could dig that up, but they didn't need the suits to be silver, and somebody along the line decided to make them silver because he thought it would look cool.
Aluminized nylon. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they had a version that wasn't silver, and they were like, no, you should silver that up because it looks sci-fi, and that'll be better for the media.
Well, the cosmonauts didn't bother with that silver junk, you know? Yuri Gagarin's like, ugh, too showy, you know?
But he said
they have a different sort of relationship with their media than we do, Chris.
Well, in the 50s anyway. Now they have the same relationship with their media, which is the president says it, and then Fox News repeats it, and then that is fact.
Oh gosh. Let's keep talking about darn astronauts like John Glenn and
Spacesuits.
Actual heroes.
Spacesuits are cool.
People who actually did
Gemini.
something with their lives.
It was the first one they could pee in, right?
Oh, that's a nice upgrade.
Yeah, you know. Well, you can see there's a little opening. Just saying.
Yeah.
Portable air
Well,
conditioner.
look how happy they are that they can now pee in their spacesuits.
All right. So they have these portable air conditioners. Were they just like DC compressors in there? And I mean,
no, they were just monkeys on little tiny bikes that pedaled.
Like, was it chemical? Was it a chemical air conditioner? Where it was like an endothermic reaction.
Yep, they were being cooled off with glycol gel.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. It's like, it's a lot of power to generate, cold in space that you have to dump. It's what is it? Every watt you need to spend 2 watts getting rid of the heat. In space or whatever. I'm too far away from that last project where I put stuff into space. Wait, no, we're all in space right now. I keep forgetting.
I got a lot of watts right here, man.
Yeah. So.
All right. Anyway, some of the suits are weird. Some of the suits you've seen before. It was a cool article. I like seeing the pictures.
Yeah. Well, so the way that oh gosh, what's his name? I met an astronaut. Well, actually, Daya, the head of the spacesuit program at NASA. She was like, they're basically they're spacecraft.
Yeah, they're little
these
spaceships.
Aren't just things you sort of pull on and go to bed in. I mean, They are spacecraft. They have to do everything a spacecraft does, including maneuvering for the ones that have the backpacks on, which they don't use very often. It turns out
for good reason.
Yeah, it's mostly tethered operations, but yeah. And like the tethers, man. I got to handle one of the tethers. I'm just like,
oh.
I gotta tell you, spacewalk sounds really hard. It sounds really painful.
For sure.
It sounds really awkward, And they would come back from spacewalks with like sores and all the rest. And I mean, these are very strong-willed people. So.
For sure. I mean, just the stones it takes to go into orbit, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. My favorite suits these days are the ones that you enter through the backpack hole. They got one of those in there. It's like, I mean, that makes total sense, but that's super weird.
It's something, isn't it?
But it does take them like an hour to get these things on, and then like another hour to depressurize. I mean, it's a pain.
And you have to check them and all the rest. And it's funny because like all the, in all the science fiction movies, they talk about, there's a little leak.
Spacewalk.
Patch it. It turns out that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Turns out there's no patch that will save you. So basically, you either have a hole small enough that you have enough time to get back to the station and repair it, or you're dead. It's just like that. There you go. Don't get too big of a hole.
Yeah, I like in every sci-fi show the idea that we, the people on this vessel, have within our power to get into these suits, get outside of space. 2 of us usually get out into space, do a thing, and get back inside. And we can do all of that right now. Like, just we snap our fingers and start doing that. We don't need to talk to ground control. We don't need to make a plan. We just do it. And it takes like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So what's really interesting? So
That
you see, so look at the armholes. So the armholes in this one are facing basically out, right? When you get to the constellation style here, they finally basically gave you more shoulder room to maneuver, and it's faced a little more in, because one of the problems they had with the old spacesuits is literally they couldn't raise their arms all the way.
Yep.
Right, because like sometimes you would have to wear a slightly smaller or slightly larger chest piece than you'd want to, because not all humans are the same shape, and it got really hard. Yeah, this is really interesting.
So there's an article about the history of the Walkman. And
Okay.
the thing that I actually liked about this, and I didn't think about it, but I actually had one. The original Walkmans had 2 headphone jacks and a speak button to
You're
let.
gonna listen with your friend.
Yeah. But also so you could let, like, you, if somebody was talking, you could press the button and hear them from outside. Because apparently the Sony president or whatever, his wife wanted to talk to him and got mad because he wasn't listening through his headphones. But I had a Walkman that had 2 headphone jacks as a kid.
That's really neat.
probably, besides my first mountain bike, this was my most prized possession as a kid when I finally saved up enough blueberry money to buy a Walkman. I was
Blueberry
like,
money.
yes.
Is that a
Yes.
euphemism for something? Yeah.
No, well, it's money you get from hours of picking blueberries when you live in the country.
Yeah.
Gosh, my fingers were stained blue, and it reminded me of my position in society. I swore I would never be poor again. I would never have blue fingers again.
Luckily, I had my Walkman with my copy of Michael Jackson's Thriller to listen to take my mind off my blue fingers.
You know, Rob, I also had Michael Jackson keeping me company with my Walkman, but the tape that I remember as my first tape in my Walkman was We Are the World, which I taped onto a single tape like 8 times in a row so that I could listen to the song without having to rewind.
I think my first one was Styx Kilroy Is Here, the one with Mr. Roboto on it. You know, when Styx decided they were going to do operas.
Classy.
Well, no, I remember I had a Walkman like device. I want to say it was one of the sport ones that I would ski with, and this is before everyone wore helmets. And I remember I had this really bad wreck, and it broke my headphones, like the headphone piece of the Walkman, just like completely shattered them, and like it broke a pole, and I sheared my bindings off my skis, but the Walkman itself was okay, so I was pretty happy, you know. But yeah, it was a bad wreck. But yeah, I used to ski. I'd listen to, oh my god, this is so embarrassing. I would listen to not King Crimson, but you know, shout, let it all out. Those guys.
Tears for Fears?
You know, Tears for Fears. I listened to Tears for Fears, which is not really skiing music.
Nope.
And then some other stuff, you know. So,
dude, my other tapes were Josephine the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and something by Amy Grant.
Amy Grant, because you were in a Christian school.
I was raised proper.
You were raised proper, yeah.
The weird thing is, I think my 3rd or 4th cassette I got was Never Mind the Bullocks, because one of my best friends' older brother was into punk music, and I was like, well, this is different than Styx.
Yeah.
You know, my Sid Vicious shirt, it was the one with all of the headlines,
the Sex Pistols?
Yeah.
Right.
No. Well, no, there's a Sex Pistols shirt that basically has like Sid Vicious is dead or whatever. And I wore that to school and I got sent home. They were like, nope, go change. And I'm like,
fail.
Oh, seriously?
Fail.
Right.
Okay. I actually asked my kids about the next one. Children's games accounts hacked to support Donald Trump. It's Roblox in particular. I asked, they haven't seen any evidence of this, despite the fact that they play Roblox probably more than any other single form of entertainment that I had in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure it's legit and real, but essentially hackers got a hold of 1,000 or more accounts, and they keep putting them in those outfits and changing their profile pictures to support their candidate, which is, I mean, I don't know. You think Russian trolls, or do you think just chip to grind or axe to grind? Midwestern.
I was going to ask you. Do you think that they're actually trying to support their candidate, or just trying to ruin shit? Because my experience has been most of the time they're just trying to ruin stuff.
Yeah.
What's the difference between supporting Trump and just trying to ruin shit, though? I mean,
America.
Very little, unfortunately.
You're a bad American.
So Rob can regale you with stories of organized attacks on just random Discord channels, from 4chan and the rest, So
I guess the big difference would be the people who are just trying to ruin stuff wouldn't necessarily vote, but people who are backing Trump would vote. So there's the difference, right?
There's the difference.
They're just making the world. They're both making the world terrible, but only one is likely to vote in November.
Right.
Okay.
Sigh.
This is dirty pool. I hate when people mess with kids, like this. It's like, just let them play their game, for God's sakes.
Right.
Don't pull your adult crap into it,
Yeah, that stuff pisses me off because kids don't know any better. Then again, what they hear from their parents is, no better. There, I made my picture. I made my picture littler so that we have more room to fit your web browser.
Okay.
There's an article about how the next Olympics should include Fortnite, which actually, oddly enough, seems kind of fair to me because we have like the X Games. So why not? What's the difference? I like that they mentioned dressage. Like we have dressage in the Olympics, which, as far as I can tell, is the horse doing all the work. So, what's your case, man?
I don't know. When I start hearing this sort of thing, they talk about other ridiculous things in the Olympics, and I'm like, how about we just take those out? I'm just saying, instead of adding more ridiculous things. Not that this is necessarily ridiculous.
I mean,
I honestly don't know how I feel about this.
I mean, the X Games, they're still doing physical things.
Sure.
And very much so, like, very intensely physical, to have the core strength to get the rotations and stuff. That's gymnastics,
Yeah.
So this is way different than the X Games. This to me is more like we should have a competition where you just draw a cool monster. You know what I mean? Who can draw the best monster? and now that's an Olympic game,
Shouldn't Macquarie have gotten a gold medal? I'm just saying.
We see the American contestant Rob Roseboom has chosen to once again add a wave motion gun to his Godzilla.
Exactly. You know that like 90% of the topic of my drawings as a child were Godzilla or something with a wave motion gun on it.
Yeah, I did a lot of tanks.
Yeah. For me, race cars. But like and like little cartoon characters doing dumb things.
Yeah, I would draw little tank scenes along the bottom of every page of notes. Like, yeah, it was just, and I'm not good looking tanks, just tanks. You knew they were tanks because they had a little thing and a shooter on them. Yeah.
Cylon ships from Battlestar Galactica too. I thought they were the coolest looking thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Vipers too were cool.
Yeah. So there's a Walmart story that they're going to be trying to convert like 100 of their parking lots into drive-in theaters, which I would $100 go do. Except I actually don't know where the nearest Walmart even is. I don't know if Ann Arbor allows them.
They have like,
I'm sure there's a Walmart,
like
right outside city lots.
I keep thinking if any company does take over the world, it will be Walmart for a lot of reasons like this. Like. You can go if you are an RVer and need a place to hang out. Like all Walmart parking lots are a cool place for you to go if you're traveling the country. They'll let you stay there until you can get back on the road or whatever. They offer a lot of weird things like that. So having a drive-in in the parking lot, after the zombie apocalypse, Walmart is where everyone's going to live.
They got the Twinkies.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, and they don't have.
Have they done this anywhere?
It's no. They have a subscribe to our newsletter to find out when it's happening. But I mean, I would do it. But around here, we don't have a lot of Walmart. We have all Meijer. It's just not the same, man.
It's just not the same.
So I'm 10 minutes into Night of the Comet, and I'm ready. I'm excited.
Yeah, are you enjoying it?
I am. Although I feel a little bad for that Mary Catherine girl. She seems to keep getting into these shenanigans.
Yeah, Catherine Mary Stewart. Yeah. So, well, it's funny because Kelly Maroney, who plays the sister, the Pep Squad sister, she's in like Chopping Mall. She's in like she gets into a lot of bad situations.
I love Chopping Mall.
She was also in Fast Times, which I couldn't believe. But yeah, so.
Yep.
Well, there's a little mall scene in this for you, then.
Oh, good.
Rob.
Good. I'm looking forward. I'm only like 15 minutes in, and once Tempest started happening, I'm like, okay, best movie ever.
I'm in. Yeah.
So that'll be tomorrow night.
Looking forward to it.
Me too, guys. We did it. 31 minutes, 6 seconds. Shall we say goodbye to Jake and Elon?
Goodbye, Jake and Elon.
Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
See you guys.
Goodbye, Chris DeBona.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
I'm Rob Commander Tacomalda. This has been episode 484 of Geeks in Space. Take care, be well. See you tomorrow night for Night of the Comet.